Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to EOR Racetech Season 2 here for Round 4 of the Championship. We're at the halfway points of the second season, and the Championship is certainly hotting up here as we head to Mexico tonight. And alongside myself in the commentary box will be Zabby. Zabby, welcoming. Great to have you alongside myself for this evening. Of course, you've been here already in round 1 of the season. You also took part through it last season as well. It's my first time here, so I'm going to have to try and settle into things very quickly. But of course, calendar-wise, we've got a very good season upcoming. We've got 5 rounds left of the Championship, of course, including tonight. I mean, some of the tracks we got coming up, they're going to be so deciding in this Championship, aren't they?
Yeah, they definitely will be. You know, moving forward, it has to beat Mexico tonight, and then China, which is a great track in terms of racing as well. Then the old classic Silverstone, which provides some brilliant racing as well. Overall, a lot of classic corners as well that have some recent past history as well. Then comes Austria, which is it's kind of king of penalties. The track limit penalties a lot of the drivers get around here, but still they have to be very careful in being within the track limits. It has to be brilliant. And then the final round to end the championship and getting it to an end, it has to beat Kota.
Indeed, and my mic now should sound proper. I don't know why it changed the settings again, but it does it sometimes. So, I mean, I said a bit deeper anyway because I got a cold, but I shouldn't have said as deep as I did when it has its issues. So hopefully, guys, everything is back up and fixed. So sorry about that one. But we'll have a look as well at the standings heading into this one. First of all, we have the driver's standings. Of course, you might be thinking it's a team event. Why are we looking at the driver's standings? Well, that's because you win €500 or pounds if you do win the Drivers' Championship. So it's a very big championship heading into this season. Of course, Shanika Clay leads it on 71 points with a decent lead, 7 points over Alvaro Carreton for Williams. You've got Luca Rapassa as well, only a couple of points back in third for Veloce Academy. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Jan Halliday, Tamas Gell, Julian Klaffenbach, Istvan Pukki all close together. And then reigning off the top 10, we have the likes of Joris Krozen, Joe Murphy and Nelson Alves. So, a very, very close Drivers' Championship. Any of these drivers here can be going for the taking and take that £500 away. And then looking at the team standings, a lot more of a picture. Sorry about that, guys. But we have Williams Sim Racing that lead that one on 134 points. A decent chunk ahead of RAG in second. And then SCI, so Shazoo Cedars Igniters, only a point back in third on 117. Then we have a big jump back to Veloce Academy, who unfortunately have a double qualifying ban tonight for missing the lineup deadline. So they're going to definitely be under pressure from FVR and TES this evening. And then we have Venturi as well on 47 points in 7th, followed by TF10 in 8th, Racetech, Tatum in 9th, and then Vroom in 10th. A very disappointing start for the Vroom team. Only on 18 points, they're nearly 22 points back away from Tatum in 9th. So a very close championship up at the top. And then, of course, also looking further down, Zabby, lots of teams such as VNT, TF10. A big round for them here and there could easily jump them up into the top 4.
Yeah, it definitely can. You know, these close-up points, it's brilliant. I think definitely that's going to be a thing they'll definitely be looking up at, you know, considering Tentum, Racetech, TF10 and VNT, all of them being within a few points of each other. Then, you know, then the team ahead of them on 57 points, not far away as well. So it all could be here to play for.
Certainly, as we're now making our way into the qualifying session, we have got our first laps underway, most of them being on an intermediate tyre. We're going to have a quick look if anybody's on a soft tyre, and as it stands, no. As always, nobody goes out on the soft tyres for the first laps in Q1 because there's, well, if you want to test up your equipment and make sure everything's working correctly, there's no real point in going out on a tyre that's going to, well, on a tyre that you've only got a limited set of over the session, whereas the intermediates, you're not going to be using them unless it's a wet quali. So you might as well get a set of those out the way just to make sure everything is working perfectly fine. And I'm just making sure everything's working my end as well. It's been a while since I've been streaming here, so hopefully all is well, as we do have many of our cars out on track, because Joris Krozen sets the first initial time on the board.
Yeah, first times on the board, obviously intermediate tyres, but I think that's a bit of a nice way of, getting out on track, getting used to the bit of track. Obviously, these drivers would have practiced a lot coming into this, but still, coming into the session, being in the actual qualifying session, putting a lap in must feel a little bit even better. So that's nice. There's a bit of a competition even on the inter tyre as everybody goes around and goes better.
Indeed, so Ryan Modeler a 118.6. Probably closer to what I do on a soft tyre, never mind what he could do on a soft tyre, and that was on an intermediate. As we have Joe Marquardt heading up to the line, Alexander Dimas heading into the pit lane, and then Istvan Pukki as well heading into the pit lane. And now I'm going to have to try and figure out which team are in what car, because we're going to have a look at the lineups as well for tonight. I was going to read them out on the camera screen, but we didn't have that much time. I got a bit carried away. So VNT, Venturi, they have Ryan Modeler and Alexander Dimas. Tomashing Sim Racing, they have Jan Halliday and Elliot Tomasetto. Then Williams have Istvan Pukki, of course their newly signed driver. He's alongside Nelson Alves. And then in the Mercedes we have Tatum Racetech. They've got Fabrizio Donoso and Tristan Janssen, who's got a qualifying ban, I believe. And then we have TF10 with Joel Marquardt and Alex Santana. Vroom, we've got Benjamin Latanier and Jeremy Galonier. Then we have RHG with Joris Krozen and Gabor Chontos. SCI with Shanika Clay and Joe Murphy. FVR with Tony Hirtala and Gabriel Quintino. And then finally, the double quali and Veloce Academy with Tudor Presican and Luca Rapassa. So a very strong grid tonight. And I think one driver I'm going to keep my eye on is Fabrizio Donoso, of course. Tatum haven't had the best season. They currently sit down in 9th on 40 points. 7 points away from P7 here. So if what we expect from Donoso is to get up there into that top 5 and maybe go for a podium at least, that really helps Tatum in terms of moving up the grid.
It sure does, and I'm sure they'll have that in mind as well coming into this week. Constructors' Championship is the big one, the big prize. Obviously, it is for that, so they'll definitely be having that look and having that in the top of their mind that they have to do a good job here around today and really put a performance that would count and try and get more points. Obviously, 7 points would be moving them up forward, but still, I'm sure they'll be trying everything to get any better, even if they can.
Indeed, as we do have a car starting a lap, and it will be Benjamin Latanier for Vroom. I hope I said that right. I tried to add a bit of a French twang to the voice, and hopefully that sounds good enough, as he's now making his way through the first sector here around a very short lap in terms of lap time, but a very difficult track to get right, especially that second and third sector. And we'll see what Benjamin can do in sector 1. It will be a 28.040 to kick things off here in qualifying as he makes his way down towards turn 6 and 7, which I think should be one corner, but it's classed as 2. And then, of course, you now head down towards the S's section, a very infamous section. And on this game, very unrealistic. You can take this pretty much flat out, whereas real cars have to brake and downshift through here as Benjamin makes his way through. Very nice so far on this lap in sector 2. It's a 55.815. And then, of course, the final sector to go. And this sector here, Zabi, very easy to make a mistake and lock up into the stadium, isn't it?
It surely is, and I think it's a combination of the first two sectors you take, but then it's about whether you get this sector right or not. As we're going to see Benjamin come over the line, 1:14.9, so it's going to be the benchmark time, at least for everybody else behind to beat. But definitely, as you said, it's definitely not an easy sector at all in terms of, you could do a whole lap, but then that final few corners in stadium section could be a make or break for you, as Jan Halliday currently out on a out lap.
Certainly, as I'm trying to make sure the audio sounds fine. I've turned myself down a little bit, and I think the game is very quiet by end, so as it goes on, I'll try and make sure it sounds perfectly fine. And of course, a big welcome to everybody in the chat. Great to see you in here, as always. But Racetech, I'm sorry if my voice is a little bit crap today. I'm still recovering from that flu, whatever it was that went around the UK, sent everybody into hospital. Don't know what it was, but it's not fun. So I'm trying to still recover from that one. And yes, hopefully my voice will get a little bit better over the stream as we, of course, now have more cars heading out for their first runs of the session. Jan Halliday, Joel Marquardt, Elliot Tomasetto, we've got Joe Murphy as well, all heading out onto track to get underway with their first soft tyre runs in Q1. Of course, something else to mention as well is that the tyre compounds around this track have changed, and from what I've heard, instead of it being a C3 compound for the hard tyre, it's a C2. So if you're sitting here thinking, yes, we're going to get a two-stop race, unfortunately that most likely will not happen because the compounds there are a little bit harder than they were before. So you can easily go for a medium hard or a hard medium in this race. And as Jan heads down to turn 1, he's gone for a double out lap. Everybody piles out the pit lane.
Yeah, just everybody trying to get out and, you know, get a lap in. At the moment, only 9 drivers, but obviously most of them being on a set of inters. The first run's only lap on the soft was from Benjamin there, 1:14.981. And definitely everybody just trying to take it slow and steady, you know, nice and easy into Q1, obviously. First session will move on to Q2. So that's, everybody's trying to take it nice and easy. So, you know, not getting that much of a pressure or, as we saw Jan Halliday do a double out lap as well, you know, trying to take it, just go around one more time, know where you want to brake, where you want to accelerate. Obviously they know already, but mistakes could be very crucial, and definitely it's a part and it's a time that you don't want to make a mistake at.
No, certainly not. So what we'll do is we'll go back on board with Jan Halliday. No, we will not, because he's not the Aston Martin that's heading through the final corner. It's going to be Elliot Tomasetto, who's now looking to set off on his first qualifying run in terms of being on a soft tyre and a competitive set. He's currently on a 118.8, but that's going to be nowhere near what he needs to make his way through into Q2. So let's see what Tomasetto can do. Heading down towards turn 1. Late on the brakes, get the car turned in nicely, through in towards turn 2, then hopping the curb at turn 3, and then of course you want to get flat onto the throttle as you make your way down towards turn number 4. Of course you have some DRS open down this little back straight, and then onto the brakes. So 27.909 there, about a tenth and a half quicker than what we saw from Benjamin Latourneur earlier on in the session. So a decent lap so far here for Elliot Tomasetto. A little bit of sliding though through sector 2, running through turn number 6, and then through in towards the S's section there, just tapping on the grass and losing a slight bit of momentum there. So this might not be the best lap to open things up for Elliot Tomasetto, but of course he has got 2 to set after that. And there we have Joe Murphy to the top of the timings. It's a 1:13.8 as Tomasetto there clatters a curb into the stadium section. We'll have to see here, Zabby, what he can manage to do.
Yeah, we'll really have to. You know, he had not once but twice had his tyre on the grass, so it'll be interesting to see what time he would have lost. But over the finish line, it will not be enough. In fact, at least at the moment, 1:14.3. What about Tony at the moment over the finish line, P2, and that is 1:13.894, only 1 millisecond separating the top 2. But what about Shanaka Clay for SCI over the finish line? How good is this one going to be from them? And that is enough for P3. Alex Santana at the moment in P20 without a time on board. Only what was that? Right, that was P6 out there, as Jan Halliday will now come over the line as well, and that will be about P6 for them. Then comes a couple of other drivers. Gebor in P14, obviously without a time on board, and over the finish line they'll go fastest, 1:13.880 as Gabriel went to P6. Then Nelson Alwas in P13 will go P6, 1:13.9 for them. Alexander will move forward as well. Then comes Joris in over the line, and that will be the fastest time for Croatian in 1:13.877. Many drivers came over the line, and it was the 2 teammates at the top of the timing charts.
Of course, and I'm not going to say I'm surprised to see both Joris and Gabor at the top of the timings. Joris over in PSGL and WOR in the Tier 1 there. He's always near the top of qualifying, so not surprised to see him up there, and Gabor Chontos as well. The race isn't always his forte at all. He's had a lot of issues heading into a race, but qualifying, his raw pace is absolutely supreme. So not surprised to see him up there either. R8G looking very strong now, of course, heading to the end of this Q1 session. But we do have one singular car still looking to set a time, and it will be Istvan Pukki, another very quick driver. Of course, if you've not been keeping up with what's going on recently, Istvan has recently joined Williams for the upcoming season alongside Nicholas Longe. So two very big signings for the Williams team. Of course, they've had a troubling couple of years, and now they're really going to be looking to go strong into the esports season. So let's see what Istvan Pukki can do. Currently 20th, he'll be nowhere near there, I assume, when he heads to the line, and it's quickest by over a couple of tenths, actually. It's a 1:13.6, 2 tenths clear of Joris Krozen there. So a very nice lap from Istvan Pukki, as we now do see a couple of cars starting to retire. 3rd down to 6th, I'd assume as well. They think they're safe. I also think they're probably safe here. Only 2 cars are leaving the session this evening.
Yeah, I mean, only 2 cars, so it's not about a big race that they have around, so definitely they'll be just trying to get better, as definitely at the moment Benjamin does need to get better, as they're just coming into the pits about right now. But for Brum having 1 car at the moment, along with TF10, the only 2 cars, as you said, not all 5 cars are going to be challenging right behind. With 4 minutes to go, everybody would be going up, but definitely I think out again, but they'll be relaxed a lot more than they would have had there been more cars at the bottom to challenge.
Yep, certainly, as we do see Puka now, he'll be making his way back into the pit lane shortly, and I presume it'll also be retirement for him as well in this session. So then it's a fight for 9th, pretty much, down to 17th. I don't think Donoso will bother going out again. I presume he'll just stay in. Yes, 9th, down to 17th, are all in the battle to make it into Q2. We'll lose 2 of these cars from this session. At the moment, it's Benjamin Letanier and Joel Marquardt. Of course, Benjamin just hasn't set a good enough lap, and Joel hasn't been able to set a lap yet on those soft tyres. So a very big couple of laps needed for him. Of course, his teammate, Alex Santana, as well, heading out onto track. TF10 in the team standings, they currently sit 8th. They're on 44 points. They're 13 away from the top 6. They're then another 13 away on top of that from 5th. So they also need just a really good round here. If they can get both cars into Q3 and then just try and solidify a double top 10, they'll also be able to make their way forward. So sometimes it's not about saying, right, we need to go out there and get 1 and 2. We just need to be in the top 10, and that's enough to move you forward. Of course, the top 19 score points here, so it's always a big opportunity to grab some points. And around a track like this as well, Zabby, Mexico, one thing I've saw in the past is a lot of track limit violations in the race. So that could also be something to help these teams which are normally a little bit further down.
Yeah, definitely can, especially in a competition like this, where how close the grid and times and even the cars are in the race. So even a few 2-second or 3-second time penalty pushes you down, way down the order, which could be loss of too many points, which could definitely, as you said, will be a big benefit for the ones that are behind, and or for anybody who's not near many points, could at least be promoted with penalties to others.
Indeed, as Ryan Modler is also out on track, part of VNT. They've also had, to be fair, they've had a very good season. Compared to what I've seen in past team events, they're normally right at the bottom of things, but they're sitting 7th currently on 47 points. So VNT are doing a very good job. And I think, then again, the last time we saw them a year ago, if you look at their roster from a year ago compared to now, it is like looking at an F1 grid and an F2 grid, because their roster before was so poor, but now they've developed it. They've tweaked it when they need to, and they've got some very, very quick drivers. And I think Ryan and Alexander are 2 perfect examples. I mean, Alex, I suppose he's that good. He's been accused of cheating in the past, which he has done. He's currently, I think, in F3 over in PSGL. Ryan Modler's made a couple of appearances in WOR Tier 1. He's also in PSGL F2, so he's another very, very quick driver. He moved over from PlayStation, I think about maybe 6 months ago now, maybe a little bit longer than that. He joined VNT and has been one of their star drivers since. So maybe tonight we could expect to see big things from Ryan and Alexander.
Yeah, we definitely can. I mean, they've got the opportunity at least, they definitely got the chance to get their team up, which they're doing a decent job. But, even another round, which could help them, which could be another opportunity for them to, at least I think a Q3 would be a pretty good, solid result for them, considering they're in P14 and 10 at the moment. At the moment, obviously, the focus is to try and get focus and try and move into Q2 as Joel moves it up to P9. What about Alex Santana, the other TF10 driver, over the finish line? They're currently in P14. They will move up to P12, but will that be enough though, as Thomas is right behind in P16. He needs the time to get through. He will beat through with a solid lap time of 1:13.902. What about Ryan over the line? He's in P12 as well, and he will go over to P2. That is a brilliant time. Meanwhile, his teammate Alexander Dimas in P16 nearly has a bit of a slide on the exit out there of the final corner, and over the finish line there will be enough and enough for them to make it through, at least for the time being, though, as Jan Halliday nearly goes a little bit wide on the entry of the stadium section there in P16. Obviously, only one car behind them to try and challenge, but they will need to do at least enough of a lap time to get them through into the next part of qualifying, and over the finish line they will do enough to at least move it to P12. What about Benjamin over the line? That won't be enough for them to move through, but what about their teammate? They are pulling out of it as well, so a double disaster for Vroom out of Q1 in P16 and 17.
Well, that is not ideal at all for Vroom, and I don't know if Jeremy can get penalties for that. I've seen it in the past where people rage quit out of a session after crossing the line and they get given a penalty. So I don't know if he'll get one for that if anybody begs it enough to report it. But not ideal at all there for Vroom. Both of their drivers out when only 2 drivers could possibly be out of the session. And then a very big gasp of breath there for Alex Santana, surviving by 3/1000ths of a second there at the end of that one with a 1:14.153. And then there, as I said, we could expect some big things from VNT, and Ryan Modler went second quickest there with a 1:13.848, so very good lap time from him as well. As most cars now just making their way back into the pit lane. We'll get them retired, and then we'll head our way into Q2. But a big loss there for Vroom, with both of their drivers out in Q1, and of course they're going to struggle even more because they've got both of the VAs behind them who we know aren't P18 and P19 pace. So they've also got to get some very good first laps underway to not end up dropping to the back of the grid.
Yeah, they definitely need to, and especially this Mexico straight. It's almost a never-ending long straight, so we definitely will be seeing a lot of overtakes around there as well. I think definitely it's a place that they will need to do a lot of defending if anything is to go by.
Certainly, and here we see the results for the first qualifying session of the evening. It was Ist Van Pookie that went quickest, ahead of Ryan Modler. Both R8Gs sit 3rd and 4th, ahead of Joe Murphy in the top 5. Then we had Tony Hirtella, Elia Tomasetto, Shanika Clay, Fabrizio Donoso, and Nelson Alves, the top 10. We have Joe Marquardt, Jan Halliday, Gabriel Quintino, Alexander Dimas, and Alex Santana making their way through to Q2. And we did lose in that one Jeremy Glonier and Benjamin Lessanier, due to not setting a quick enough time. But then, of course, we have Tudor Pressakan, Luca Rapassa, and Tristan Janssen, who are all out due to qualifying bans. So there we are, heading into Q2. And I think another thing to mention as well is I think Tristan, Luca, and Tudor all have pace to get to Q3. But then technically that could give 3 spots to other drivers who don't normally get there.
Yeah, definitely it can. I mean, it'll be an opportunity for them to be there, and I think they're looking at this definitely. But I think having an opportunity kind of even creates a bit of more pressure. You know, usually you're like, okay, you know, we're going to try for it, but if we can't, fine. But this time around, it's like, okay, we can get through, and it's a double pressure kind of even in their mind that they'll be like, okay, there is a chance, and we certainly should get through. But and then in the end, if you do not get through, it hurts a little bit more, doesn't it?
It does. There's a very weird thing on my screen, and somehow both, I think it was Gabor and Shanika, came out of the pits at the same point. So they were following each other down the pit lane. I've never seen that happen before, as Gabor goes for an overtake on Shanika Clay in qualifying. What a move from Gabor Chontos. As everybody now, bar a couple of drivers, is making their way out of the pit lane and onto the track. As Ryan Modler and one of the Aston Martins, that I think not being Jan, it would have been Eli Tomasetto. They nearly came to a bit of contact there, but yes, all the cars now, bar both of the FVRs and Joris Krozen, are out on track, looking to get their first laps underway at the start of Q2. And I don't understand why they go out so early here at Q2, because they've got more than enough time to set the laps they need. But they're all rushing to get to the line, and from what I got told, there's no rain on the radar, so I don't know why they're pushing so hard to get things started here. Look at Jan Halliday making a move through the S's.
Yeah, that is interesting to see. I mean, all the drivers, apart from 3 in the pit lane, are out on track and trying to, you know, get a lap time in. And already everybody's even going for moves as well. So nobody letting the other person have a track position. So they're not only fighting for, you know, they want to get a lap in, and they're even fighting for that position. It's almost like the end of the qualifying session.
Indeed, and we'll go on board with Joe Murphy this lap just because I love that V-carb livery. What race was it from? This one. Can't remember. No, it wasn't Japan. Was it Vegas this livery was used?
Yeah, maybe. I do remember as much as they had a couple of for the US Jeep races. I don't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
which one exactly.
I mean, I love it. It's just looking like you see the cans of the like the sugar-free, like strawberry flavoured Red Bull. More than
Yeah,
F1
exactly.
livery. It's a nice livery. I mean, VCarb for me have the best liveries this year. I mean, they are sorry from well, I suppose this year technically it's still December. Their liveries are insane, but I think it helps that they ignored the whole carbon thing of not wanting paint on the car. They just thought, it doesn't matter. Let's chuck as much paint on as we can, and the liveries actually look very nice. So we'll see what Joe can do on this lap here, Zabby, as he makes his way through Sector 2. And of course, this is also a key point in qualifying here, because you've got to carry as much minimum speed through. But to do that and to gain that extra 1 km an hour of speed, you've got to take the exact perfect line to the millimetre. So I think that Sector 2 there is going to be a very big telling tale of who could potentially go for pole later on.
Sure, definitely. I think that sector is important in terms of there's a bit of chances of getting over the line and invalidating those laps for sure, as Joe is going to go over the line, and he will certainly go fastest as Fabrizio Donoso now will put a lap of 1:14.45. What about Joel? Another Joel then, as we're going to see a lot of drivers now going over the line and going faster, as Murcott will allow his Wampuki 1:14.0. Certainly slower than what we had at the end of Q1, but definitely times are getting better.
Indeed, as we see Alex Santana as well heading up to the pit lane. He goes 10th, the slowest of them all. Not ideal for Alex Santana, considering he was also only making it through to Q2 by 3/1000ths of a second. So, Alex, a lot of pressure is on him indeed. And Maxi in the chat, Miami, that was it. He was right, Zabby. It was one of the American ones, and it was Miami. No, beautiful livery on a beautiful car. And yes, well, hello Maxi, welcome into the stream. Great to have you in here as always. You normally make a comment at least once or twice when I'm here in the commentary box, so great to see you once again. As Jan Halliday, don't know why he's done this, but in Q1 he went out of sync completely. He's in the exact same in Q2. He's been in, no, sorry, went out, went back in, and has gone out again. Not sure what the test tactic is here.
Interesting. I mean, sometimes you see a bit of mind games as well, but maybe a bit of that. Obviously, I'm not sure what that is going to do to others or benefit them, but obviously, I'm sure that something has to be behind these moves, unless they're just doing it, which obviously they won't be. So interesting to see, and I think it'll be interesting to actually know what this exactly was for. And I mean, in the end, if it works out and you're into the next session, definitely that's welcome. But you know,
We'll have to see what goes on. As yes, Jan's the only car on track at the moment. Alex is making his way back into the pit lane. But I think there's a couple of other cars now looking to start to get back out onto track to set times. No, it was Istvan's car going back in. Never mind. We'll go on board with Jan, because I don't know if he's going to go for a double out lap or one out lap. We'll have to see. I'm always for you, don't worry. Thank you, Maxi. Likewise, mate, likewise. I mean, I don't know when I'm ever going to see you in a stream other than commentary, but yes. As Jan's going out for his, I hope, a lap now, because I don't want to have to spend another lap commentating over a car going slow. Then we've also got Tony Hirteller as well, heading out onto track for FVR, another very quick driver. I believe leading the Tier 2 standings in PSGL, but had a very, very frightening evening last night in Mexico, where he unfortunately got taken out by his championship rival, who had a puncture. That, of course, being Leo Lund, the very aggressive man himself. I'm not going to sit here and say it was on purpose, because that's not me, but it was a very dodgy tactic indeed to take your championship rival out by, for some reason, not moving over and letting everybody pass. Instead, he thought, you know what, let's set the apex with 3 tyres pretty much and see what happens. So, Tony has got some very, very traumatic memories of Sector 3 here tonight. So, I mean, to be fair, actually, though, on a serious note, he's going to be very quick, because he's got the pace from last night. He was very good. I think he qualified 5th. If he can do that in Tier 2, he's got more than a chance to do that here again tonight.
it definitely has, and I think, as you said, you know, he's gotten taken up from the previous race, so definitely that anger, that hunger to prove everybody wrong, and you know, to show everybody that he can do it again. He'll definitely be giving it everything to try and do it one more time.
Certainly, as we'll go back to Jan Halliday. Is he on a lap? No, he's not. He's just been overtaken, so he's doing a double out lap. Let's go and board with Tony Hirteller, heading through the final corner here in the Alpine for FVR. He looks like he's on a lap because he's burning the battery down towards turn 1. So let's see what Tony can do on this first lap for himself here in Q2. Of course, the quickest time so far is a 1:14.061 by Istvan Pukki. But of course, the times will get a lot quicker than that. It was quicker in Q1. It was a 13.6 Q1 from Pukki, so they're still quite a few tenths off we expect normally. So let's see what Tony can do. Heading down towards turn number 4, say 27.699, so a decent first sector here for Tony. And then, of course, he's got sector 2 to go. He's got turn 6 here. Very tricky hairpin. Of course, you want to get back on the power as soon as you can as you prepare for the S's. Here, you want to take the perfect line. Dabble onto the grass on the inside, then just carry all the speed through in towards the end of the S's. You get a slight dose of DRS here down towards turn number 12, heading into the stadium or the Forest section. Up the curb on the apex, then you want to make sure you can turn in perfectly for the hairpin. Flick the wheel into the hairpin, then you hop the curbs again into towards the Peraltada at the final corner, and we'll see what Tony can do to set his first lap of the session up to the line. It's a 1:13.831.
Yeah, he gets close to that fastest time in Q1, and definitely now we should be knowing that these second runs in Q2 should be getting better and better, as we have Fabrizio Donoso. He's coming around the final few corners to go over the line. That felt a little bit of a slide there, not sure if there was, but over the line that would indicate it might not be in there, as 1:13.776 from him, as Shanaka Gallego's P3 1:13.857. So the timed in the 1:13s are starting to begin, as Thomas goes 1:13.8, as well as Ryan 1:13.897. That's going to be Joe Murphy in P10 at the moment, will go fastest 1:13.763. As Joris goes only P9 at the moment, 13.94. And what about Nelson in Istvan Pukki? In fact, there's going to be Joel in TF or TF10 at the moment, as Jan Halliday will go quickest 1:13.547, the quickest time of the evening so far, as Joel is going to go in P10 with Alex Santana having invalidated his lap.
Indeed, and the two Williams cars now are just heading on to their first laps, I think. No, never mind. Nelson isn't, because he's stuck behind the back of an R8G. Let's see about Istvan Pukki. Is he on a lap here, heading down towards turn number 4? It's a 27.7, so I believe he's on a lap at the moment, heading his way through sector 2. Of course, that 14.0 was set at the start of the section, I believe, on a used set of the tyres, so he'll easily be making his way up towards where Jan Halliday and Joe Murphy are as he makes his way into the S's. That was a bit of a slide and hooking his car onto the curb slightly. That's definitely going to be a bit of time loss there for Istvan Pukki. And he heads his way now down into sector 3. He's up by a tenth and a little bit here. This could only seem maybe into P6 or P7 here. He heads into the hairpin and into the stadium. Couple more corners to go now for Pukki. He's currently sitting 13th here, so needs to get a good lap on the board to not be under pressure. Heading up to the line, it's a 1:13.759. Despite a very tricky sector 2, he does go into second place. Ahead now with Joe Murphy, and just looking at the gaps there, P2 down to P10 is a tenth and a half.
It's brilliant, absolutely close, and that's how you know that it's you could get a lap in. This one at the moment is in P2, but only a few thousandth of a second better than Joe Murphy, who then again is a couple of milliseconds better than Fabrizio Donoso. So it's absolutely close, especially P1 to P4. It's within a few tenths, but it's absolutely close between a couple of those drivers, and I'm sure they'll be having that bit of in their mind that they want to get better, and they will need to get better to stay safe.
Certainly, as we have, of course, 5 cars in that drop zone who will not be seeing their way into Q3 if they stay there, and currently it's going to be Joel Marquardt, Joris Krozen, Alexander Dimas, Nelson Alves and Alex Santana. I mean, for sure, I do not expect to see Joris and Nelson there. The others, not saying they don't deserve to be in Q3, but I wouldn't be that surprised if they did go out in Q2. But Joris and Nelson, they're kind of a given for going to Q3. Normally you'd put them on the odds 2-1 to be making their way to Q3. Not sitting in a bit of trouble down in that bottom 5. And the only issue they have now is we know they have the pace to go out there and probably beat Jan Halliday's lap easily. But if you make that one slight mistake and run wide, that's your lap over. You've got no other chance of trying to recoup anything and make your way into Q3. You've got one chance and one chance only. So that's where the pressure for these really big heavy hitters in qualifying lies, because they're normally not used to being into a position where they've got one lap only. They normally get a good lap in at the start and that's it. They can chill. But now they've really got to push hard to get a decent lap on the board, because even though they could improve by a couple of tenths, everybody else will be also finding that tenth or two.
Definitely, I think everybody at the moment will be looking after it, and definitely that final lap and just getting that one lap pressure. Sometimes even that pressure gets to you because you know that you have to make no mistake. You have no chance of making an error. You have no you know, any bit of chance that you want to make that error. You can't do that because slight bit of over the track, slight bit of tires, all four wheels off the track, and you get that lap invalidated, which would eventually knock you out, and it could be a big blow to big drivers that are already, you know, expected or carrying that expectation on their shoulders to be into Q3.
Certainly, and I think one driver who at the moment seems very comfortable with where he is Shanaka Clay. Of course, he leads the drivers' standings on 71 points. He's 7 ahead of Alvaro Carson, who isn't here tonight. Luca Rapassa starts from near the back. Again, Halliday is his closest competitor, but he's around 30 points back. So really, realistically, Shanaka Clay, if he can get another top 10 and finish in the top 10 tonight, he's going to be still extending that gap in the championship potentially, and that would be great for him to take £500 away at the end of the season. Of course, it being an 8-race calendar as well, a lot shorter than what we normally see, it means these first 4 or 5 races have got to be so crucial, and you've just got to try and pick up as many points as you can early on, because when you get to the end of the championship and you've got a couple of rounds to go, if you've got cars that are maybe 20 or 30 points back, they're going to take more risks to try and keep that, to try and get back in the chance of the championship. And then, of course, with risks comes mistakes. So you've got to hope that you've got a big enough gap heading into the final few races where you don't have to worry about others trying to force their way through on you.
Yeah, definitely, and especially, you know, in the short championship, if you haven't got enough of a gap, or at least enough that you know that you're going to be able to keep up, even if you have a bit of a low last few races, you know, if you have like not a good of a last race or second last race, the last 2 or 3 rounds, if you don't have them enough good in terms of points, you still want to try and have enough gap to get you at the top of let you stay at the top of the championship, as we see Joel go P2 for TF10 113.721. Everybody is finding that time, as Joe Murphy in P4 will be looking to find a time and try and get better as well. If he does find enough, he will be moving forward, and he does up to P2, and a second driver into the 113.5s as Ryan will be in 113.6 as well. And over the finish line, Tony would go improve rather. Not as we're going to see Gabor as over the finish line. They will be making it through into P4. What about Thomas Fortes in P11? They need to improve to get better, and they will be here going into the next part of qualifying. Shanaka Clay just nearly makes it to the top 10. Can anybody behind knock him out? Joris is in that pressure. He's carrying that pressure to move forward, and if he does so, Shanaka Clay will be knocked out. As we were just talking about the championship leader, he could be in a bit of trouble here in qualifying to be knocked out of Q2, and over the finish line, that's going to be enough for Joris, and Shanaka Clay will be out in the end.
Well, there we have it. Both Shanaka Clay and Fabrizio Donoso out in qualifying. 2 ex-F1 Esports drivers are out in the second part of qualifying. To the demise of, I think it was, knocking them out, I think it was Joris Crozen and Alex Santana. So, big things here at the end of Q2 for Donoso and Clay. But of course, we did also lose both of the FVRs. Disappointing for them, considering they're sitting 5th in the standings. And then also the VNT of Alexander Dimas, who I don't think really got a second lap, a final lap underway, really. I think he was slower than what he did in Q1. So not ideal at all for Alexander Dimas. But there we go. End of Q2. 2 big, heavy hitters who normally we'd look at going for pole, out in Q2.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big blow. You know, now they've got a lot to work for in this race. Not to forget, the Veloci Academy drivers are at the back, who would be looking to move forward as well from the back of the grid. So definitely, I think it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be great to see in the top 10, but even the battles outside the top 10 should be fun as well at the start of the race.
Certainly, as once Alex goes into the pits, we should get underway, or slowly get underway for Q3. Of course, a very, very interesting final session coming up here because we have entering into it Jan Halliday, Joris Kroos and Joe Murphy. Then we have Ryan Modler, Gabor Chontos, Elliot Tomasetto, both of the TF10s, Joel Marquardt and Alex Santana, and then both of the Williams of Nelson Alves and Istvan Pukki. We did lose Donoso, Clay, Quintino, Hietala and Dimas, but very competitive top 10 here. Looking for pole, Jan Halliday, quickest of them all again. Of course, took pole in round 1, took pole in round 2. Could he potentially go for 3 poles in 4 races?
Possibly can. I mean, he's got the opportunity to do it. And I think at the back, Istvan Pukki and the Williams drivers, both of them are going to be for a challenge for pole as well. But here to say they were in P9, 8 and 9, nearly just making it into the final qualifying session.
Certainly, as we will shortly get underway to see who's going to take pole position in this session. Very, very competitive. Many drivers that can easily go for pole in this one. We're just going to wait for it to load and then we can see the top 10 who are going for it. I think it's a very big session for both of the R8Gs in terms of trying to catch up to Williams. It's big for Williams in terms of trying to keep the lead. But then also TF10 sitting down in P8. A good qualifying session here could bounce them up to fighting with FVR in 5th. So every team here has got to get a really good result in this qualifying session to prove they can move their way up into the top 5 in the standings. I think as well, looking at Joe Murphy, he's the sole of the SCIs in Q3. Considering they're only a point back from R8G, he's got a lot of work to do to try and take that pole position away. Sorry, not a pole position away, sorry. Try and take that second away from R8G. But of course, guys in the chat, let us know who you think will take pole position here this evening. Many drivers who you can easily put the names into the hat, as Omar saying King Joe pole. I'm not going to accept that one because you own the team, Omar, so that's biased. So everybody else's prediction bar Omar's is valid.
That's interesting to see, as we have only 2 cars out on track at the moment, and those are the 2 teammates, Jan Halliday and Thomas Ito, as both of them just the 2 teammates out at the moment. Earlier on, we saw Jan Halliday do a couple of outlaps before going for his final run. So taking a bit of his time, maybe taking a bit of time to get the tires up to temperature as well, and just getting ready for a showdown before before getting ready. He just goes around, does a few laps, as we now see others come out of the pit lane as well.
Indeed, as we have Jan, we've got Istvan, Joel and Elliot Tomasetto all out on track at the moment. I presume Jan's doing his exact same strategy as normal about going for a double out lap. Oh, he's knocking all the bollards out the way as well. There we go, that's helpful from Jan. Get all the bollards so everyone can actually make it through up to the line. And as a surprise, he's going out again for another out lap. Let's see who else is close to starting. Elliot Tomasetto. I think here, Zabby, he might be starting a qualifying lap.
Yeah, he might just be as they exit off the corner there. Looks a bit of a slide, and definitely a bit of an aggressive one, and definitely as much one would be looking like to start. As we're getting on board with him now, using all that battery as he can, heading into turn 1. The right-hander slowing down up to 3rd gear, taking it slow and steady and as good as he can into turn 2 and 3. Just on the exit of it, nearly going all 4 wheels off the track. Just saved it enough in time at the end of that first sector. How good is this one going to be? 27.879 into the second sector now, moving forward. Now staying as close to the curbs and using all the track as they can, heading towards the S section. They're going to try and use all the track as they can to see what they're going to be doing and all about now here. It's very important to stay within the white lines here as well, because sometimes it could bite you, and if it does, your lap could be ruined. 55.295 at the end of that middle sector into the stadium section now. Just a section that they will be looking to make it nice and easy. Make sure they're within the white lines, make sure they're not making any mistakes, and over the finish line. How good is this one going to be from Tomasetto? 1:14.372, so definitely not a time that we would think that it's competitive enough.
No, certainly not, but most drivers I think here will be on a used set for the first lap, because you might, if you've only got one set of new tyres, you don't want to use them early on. You want to leave them till the last moment. So, Tomasetto there. It's going to be his first lap and the first lap of the session at 1:14.3. Keeping an eye here on Joel Marquardt in the TF10. We'll see what he can do for his first lap in this session. Of course, we've seen the quickest time so far be 1:13.5. Very competitive from Jan Halliday. I'm sure we'll find a lap time quicker than that at the end of Q3. But certainly Jan will be one of those that we're looking at in terms of looking to improve on the best lap we've seen so far this evening. As Joel Marquardt now heading down towards the stadium section, towards the Forest Salt. See what he can manage to do on this first lap as he makes his way into the final corner. As Pookie goes quickest at 1:13.833. What can Joel Marquardt do? He goes second at 1:14.235. And then we have Jan Halliday. Not Jan Halliday, it's Elia Tomasetto making his way through the final corner. The next car on a lap, I think, could be the Alex Santana here heading into turn 6.
Yep, it has to be. I think him at the end of that first sector into the middle sector now, heading towards the middle sector, making through the sections as obviously without a time at the moment, but trying to get through as Jan Halliday goes fastest of them all, puts a time which is absolutely competitive, and 1:13.5, which we've seen be the fastest time overall in the last few sessions, and another lap which is a fantastic one for him.
Certainly, very quick lap, 10 thousandths away from what he did at the end of Q2. Let's see what Alex Santana can do. Goes third at 1:14.036. And next we have, not Joel Marquardt, it'll be the VNT of Ryan Modler, only a 14.5 here yet again. He's going to be on a set of the used tyres. Then we have, not Nelson Alves, it'll be Istvan Pookie, but he'll be heading back into the pits. So the next car to set a lap will be Nelson Alves. We'll have to see what he can do. He makes his way down towards turn 12. He's on a very slow sector 2. It's 4 seconds off, so that's not going to be a competitive run. I don't think anyway. We'll have to see any. Here it's like a 51 in sector 2. I don't know. At least that's what I thought it was anyway. If not, I'm just blind and I've got it wrong. There's Gabor there, a very odd line in towards the stadium. Bit of a mistake made. Nelson Alves goes second, never mind. That is a very competitive sector 2. I got the numbers completely wrong. Nelson goes second, Gabor goes third. Let's see what Joris Krozen can do as he makes his way through the final corner. Can he look to go for pole position, taken away from Jan Halliday? Yes, he can, by 11 thousandths of a second at 1:13.546. Joe Murphy up to the line, and he will be starting another lap. But there we go. Turns out at 54.7 is a very competitive middle sector because Nelson Alves went third with it.
Yeah, definitely 54s is a brilliant, the middle sector at the end of it. And now, brilliant times from all these drivers. The top three within a tenth, 1:13.546 from Joris, 1:557 from Jan Halliday, and 6:43 from Nelson in the moment, with Gabor not far behind as well, along with Istvan Pookie. So all those in the 1:13s will be having a chance. Definitely those behind will certainly be on a set of used tyres. So definitely being out on the new tyres would be interesting to know as well. And I think at the moment, Joe Murphy, who was certainly did a slower lap earlier on, will they be on a competitive lap at the end of this middle sector? 54.794 from them, over 17 seconds better than previous sector or previous time. Obviously better they will be doing with how slow lap the previous one was. Obviously a slow lap. Then over the final corner now, can Joe Murphy move himself up to the top 5? Yes, he can. Goes up to the front row into P2, 13.551, and that is another driver in the top 2 with a brilliant time.
Indeed, that's only 6 thousandths away from Joris Krozen. Very competitive there by Joe Murphy. The gap's there between the top 3. It's 10 thousandths of a second. The top 4, separated by just under a tenth. Very competitive here, heading into the final few minutes of Q3. Of course, there's a few drivers as well. I'd say 7th and down, probably not on a new set. Gabor, we've seen the pace from him to be up the top, so I expect him to improve the same for the Williams of Istvan Pookie. So I think we've got many drivers now who are going to fight for this pole position here tonight. As, of course, we do have Jan Halliday heading out to track, Istvan Pookie as well. And I presume it'll be the double out lap as well, being as how early they've gone out.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, we've seen them already do a couple of double, out laps. So definitely, I think it won't be anything new that if they do so. And I think already they're going pretty slow. Be their out lap, so maybe use that second out lap a bit quicker, maybe a bit of a lap that gets them a bit of temperature in their tires, and then ready for the final and last run in qualifying 3 here.
Indeed. So Yen will head down towards the stadium section. Of course, this is a crucial part on your lap. You go wide there, and that is your lap over. So you've got to make sure you can keep yourself within the white lines heading into that section. And then, of course, here you've got to make sure you can flick the car in perfectly into the hairpin, and then into the final corner. It's about getting your foot down on that throttle as early as possible. And Jan, as expected, going for that double out lap strategy. I presume the same will be for Istvan Pukki as well. We have John Marquardt, Elliot Tomasetto and Ryan Modler also out on track. So some very crucial moments now heading into Q3 of who we could potentially see take that pole position away.
Yeah, they definitely can. I think all the drivers we'll have to watch out for, because any one of them could snatch that up at any moment, and that won't be a surprise, because everybody is there to take it away. Everybody's looking to take it away, and for sure they're all going to be after it, as Istvan Pukki is weaving left and right to get that temperature maybe. So definitely that indicates, which we already knew, would be a double out lap.
Indeed, there's John Marquardt as well. Is he also going for a double out lap? I'm not sure if he is. To the final corner. I think he might be going for an actual lap here, heading down towards turn 1. John Marquardt putting his foot down, burning the battery, opening up that DRS. I think here's Abby. He could be the first one to look to try and take pole away.
He might just be, as he's now going to be out on a flying lap at the moment with a brand new set of tyres. He's got a bit of ground to make, a couple of tens to improve, but sure, on those brand new set of soft compound tyre, he could do all of that to the end of that first sector. How much of an improvement does he find
he's
from his previous
Tricked us.
Interesting.
Ah, will Ryan Modler do the same? Because he looks quick through sector 1.
All sorts of games here, at least with us now.
Indeed. But going back to the front of the field, Jan Halliday, he's not starting a lap. It'll be Elliot Tomasetto. Heading down towards turn number 1, of course, he's going to be the first car that is definitely on a qualifying lap. Heading into that first sector he goes. He's looking to try and take pole position away. He's down in 9th. He's on a U set of tyre. He was on a U set of tyres when he set the lap. He's now on a new set. So we'll have to see what he can do in sector 1. It's a 27.740. A nice opening sector here for Elliot Tomasetto to build on, heading into sector 2 and sector 3 as he makes his way through the hairpin at turn 6. Back on the power down towards the S's section. And we'll see what he can do in this middle sector as he makes his way through. Flying through this second sector. We'll see what he can do at the end of it. Currently P10, as that was, I think, Santana finishing his session. I think he actually went up into P8 there, because Tomasetto is in 9th as he goes through in towards the stadium section there. A slight lock-up, that's going to go wide, and that's certainly going to lose him time. Let's see what Elliot Tomasetto can do. Heading through that final corner now. Heading up to the line. Will it be a chance for pole? No, but it will be P6. Jan Halliday, he's up by 65 thousandths on a time he needs to get into pole. He only needs 10 thousandths to take that away. So this is a very big final corner now for Jan Halliday to try and take his third pole in 4 races. Up to the line. No, he doesn't take pole. He stays in P3. Next to crossline will not be Joris Kroes. It'll be Gabel Chantos. He can only manage P4. About 8 thousandths back from the time of Jan Halliday. I want to keep an eye on Joris Kroes as Nelson Alves goes quickest at 113.495. Out of nowhere, the Williams is on pole. What about Istvan Pukki for the other Williams? Can he take pole? Yes, he can. By over a tenth, this is Istvan Pukki on pole position with a 113.365. I don't think anybody else can have a chance of taking that away. Let's see what Alex Santana can do up to the line. He stays in 9th. And I think Ryan Modler, his best will be 7th. So there we go. I mean, Pukki, not a surprise to be up there, but Nelson Alves hasn't really been flirting with the top 3 at all this session.
Not at all. He came out late and came out like a surprise to make it a 1-2 for Williams, and definitely this has to be a brilliant start and a brilliant position for Williams as a team to begin this race.
Indeed, but dear me, there we go. I mean, like I said, Q1 and Q2, Istvan was there. Nelson really wasn't. He was just kind of in the mid pack doing his job, and in the end goes into P2 as Joris Crosden third ahead of Joe Murphy. Then we have Jan Halliday in fifth, Gabor Chonta sixth, followed by Ryan Modler, Elliot Tomasetto, Alex Santana, and Joel Marquardt, the top 10. But we have got to have a restart before we get back underway with racing. So I'm going to quickly head over to our intermission screen, and hopefully we'll be back very, very shortly. And welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that little 5-minute pause. We just had to make sure we can get the lobby all sorted and good to go again. Of course, we're now heading into our 36-lap race around Mexico. Strategy, I've been told, it's a one-stop. It used to be a two-stop. But for some reason, EA thought, you know what? Because you're having fun doing two stops, we're going to make it so you're on the C2 now instead of the C3 for the hard tyre. So then you only have to have it once. So, yeah, I mean, I presume that's something to do with what happened in real life, but I don't know. As weather-wise, very overcast. I'm hoping that means there's a possibility of some rain. I'm hoping that I'll get a message as well to say the weather. If not, we're going to have to play it by ear and hope that we can kind of foreshadow what's coming up. But heading into this one, Zabby, very competitive down to turn one just because of the long run. I think it's the longest run on the calendar down to turn one. But this first corner, if you're starting maybe P4 or P5, you could be in the lead by the exit of turn 3.
Absolutely. I think anybody in the top 5 would seriously have a chance of taking the lead heading towards turn 1, because anybody, just anyone in front of you has a little bit of a hiccup at the race start. You could easily take up their position heading towards turn 1, because even if somebody does get a better start, you could just get a better slipstream, or how long the straight is. You could just get a bit of boost from the cars behind to give yourself a chance and move forward. So definitely, I think it's a very low chance that Polster still leads heading towards turn 1.
Indeed, it's all about getting that slipstream and hoping you can kind of put your car in the perfect place. We've been told as well, there's no rain, so it's fully dry. Normal strategy here around Mexico, unless we have a safety car, which I presume is enabled in this. I know some leagues don't, but I'm sure we have safety cars here enabled in Racetech. So, very shortly, we're getting started for round 4 of the championship. 5 rounds to go, including this one. Very big for Williams in terms of trying to hold on to their P1 by 20 points. And then for Shanika Clay, who was out in Q2, he's got to try and hold on to that driver's standings. He's currently leading by 7 points to Alvaro Carreton. So Williams and Shanika Clay, 2 very big races for those guys. But then, of course, Williams, they start P1 and P2. Their job of holding on to that P1 is a lot easier than Shanika's job of holding on to P1.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll just be trying to work together, or rather just try and defend their position as they can, rather than at the top. Those at the behind would definitely have cars in front of them to get a bit of a slipstream and really help them defend, but those at the front will have nothing, so they can't do much about it. As we are getting into it already, the 5 lights are going to be about to get out. They hold for a little bit long. The lights are out and the track is hot. It's going to be a start for Isvan Puki, starting on the medium. Tara Nelson always gets a good start as well. The top 2 are at least having the lead at the moment. Meanwhile, Joris going to be right behind at around the outside now, switching to the inside line. Rather will be the outside line heading towards turn 1. It's going to be 3 wide. They almost in sync. They're going to go in towards turn 1. They're going to be side by side. Will be Isvan and Joris. Meanwhile, Jan Halliday at the back in the test team is there as well. Meanwhile, Joris and Isvan Puki are going at it. They're going to be will to will. Nelson has backed out of this one. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It might be Isvan Puki, but he goes absolutely wide, and that's allowed Jan Halliday to get through, and he will get past him there. Meanwhile, Joris and Nelson are still side by side, and they're almost going again at the back of the back. There's a couple of overtakes as well as a couple of drivers making those overtakes. Gabor in P7 at the moment. There's a front wing flying, and those debris are at it, and everybody is looking after those positions and those overtakes in lap 1. Everybody wants to go for that, but that leader and that pole titter is currently in P4. It's going pretty wide and a bit of deep, fighting each other, fighting a driver, and nearly into the back of the car goes the RG car there.
Yes, indeed. That is not the ideal point to break there, Gabor, going into the back of Joe Murphy. As we make our way out of the Peraltada, back down towards turn 1 we go. As, of course, in the lead, it's going to be Nelson Alves ahead of Joris Krozen and Jan Halliday, the top 3. The top 5, it's going to be then Istvan Puki and Elia Tomasetto. As we make our way down towards turn 1, I think Murphy's under pressure here from Gabor Chontos potentially, but backs out of it as the 2 VNTs are heading through side by side into turns 2 and 3, and then further back as well, like Alex Santana and Tony Hietala having a battle down towards turn 4. We'll have to see which car comes out ahead in this one. We'll go on board with Donoso in towards turn 4 as we make our way through, and these VNTs, whatever they're doing, it's seeming to not work, because you've got Shanika Clay who's all over them, then you've got 2-3 cars all trying to catch up as well. Very, very close to a little bit of catastrophe there for VNT, but as they make their way into the S's, they do keep that P9 and P10.
Yeah, they do keep it for the moment, I think, but they'll have to keep an eye, and I think trying to work together at the moment would rather work because of how many cars are behind there. So definitely rather everybody has to be in terms of, you know, fight it as an individual. Meanwhile, the drivers at the back are almost looking to go for it as an individuals, as drivers are going to be going for it. Meanwhile, Luca Rapazza at the back is going to be looking to make moves, but also those Vroom cars, one of them was trying to make a move as well. Meanwhile, it's going to be Luca Rapazza indeed. He's going to try and get past Jeremy there around the main straight. The DRS is going to be enabled. The railing's going to be open for both the cars, but they're going to be still side by side. It's a long kilometre straight. Who's going to be able to be taking that position at the end of the corner? And will have to be Luca Rapazza, who's moved past him into P16. Fabrizio Donoso has moved past in P13 as well, but I'm sure he didn't qualify that low, so that means he might have lost a couple of positions at that race start there.
Certainly, as Alex Santana also has damage on his TF10, and that is not good for him considering he started 10th. He's now down to 14th, potentially 15th, as here comes Gabriel Quintino in the FVR car as they make their way in towards turn 6. Not good at all for the TF10 of Alex Santana. Then looking a little bit further ahead here, Eli Tomasetto is all over the back of Esteban Pukki. Not been the best start at all for the Williams driver, who started up on pole. Now down to 4th and under pressure for potentially dropping down to 5th place. But of course, Tess, very good so far in this race. They sit P6 in the standings. They're 13 points back from FVR, and they're another 3 points away from that, so 16 back from Veloce Academy. 3rd and 5th will be brilliant for them to try and catch up and potentially overtake them in the standings, as now Pukki is heading down to turn 1, looking to get a move ahead of Jan Halliday. It's a long run down towards this braking zone of turn 1. Is it enough for Pukki to get the move? He's going to have to go for a lunge to the inside. He does go for a lunge to the inside of Halliday, who keeps it around the outside, has the inside at turn 2, back to the outside at turn 3, and this is going to head side by side down towards turn 4.
It's all going to be side by side. The move isn't done yet, but Esteban Pukki will get that done about now, and he will move up to 3rd place. The test team, the 2 teammates in 3, 4 and 5. Meanwhile, there right at the back is going to be the 2 drivers going side by side, and that's going to be Gabriel Quintino and Alex Santana, as Gabriel is just going to get past Alex Santana there and into P14. So Alex Santana getting a bit of damage on that front wing, is still in there. He hasn't been able to make a bit of progress, but still the switch of positions, the difference every other lap is happening. I think again with that DRS available to him, it could be a chance for him to fight back.
Certainly. Is looking ahead there. Donoso on the back of Tony Hietala, looking to make a move into P12 here. Is a Chilean, as they make their way through in towards the end of that final sector. And onto lap 5 of 36. Of course, it's not been the best start for Fabrizio, or neither has it been the best start for TRT on a whole, because Tristan Janssen, despite, of course, well, was already down in 20th at the start, hasn't really made moves like Luca Rapazza and Tudor Presican have, so not ideal for Tristan Janssen at the start of this one. As I've noticed there, Alex Santana's gone into the pit lane for a set of hard tyres. Considering he's gone in so early, and because he has damage, that will probably be a 2-stop for him, just because he's had to pit for hard tyres because of damage, whereas everybody else, I would assume, is going for a 1-stop here. As looking back up near the front, the 2 test cars are together, Jan Halliday and Elliot Tomasetto. Then the top 3, it's still both Williams, so despite that lock-up at turn 4 for Pukki, he's reclaimed that 3rd and should be able to work with his teammate near the end of the race to take back that 2nd.
Yeah, definitely can. I think they can easily in that chance of taking that 2nd place, so he could easily do that. Meanwhile, the back, Shaneka Clay is moving past. Does he get past her in fact right at the back? For a moment, I thought the cars were going side by side, but that rather would have been one of them moving out of the car behind to cool their tyres and everything out there. So for Alex Santana at this point, being in between cars, you can't get past because of already a bit of damage. So does that also help? He gets through pits and then gets out of the traffic and gets to run in free air on his own. So maybe he could get a little bit better, as cars at the back of WNT still in P9 and 10. Is there going to be a chance for Shaneka Clay as he sends one on the inside line of Alexander there, and around the outside he will get the job done. There was a late lunge by Shaneka Clay, but he gets the move done there.
Indeed, a great move there by Shaneka Clay, but has to be making these moves early because of that poor qualifying session. been on that alternate strategy. He's got to start making these moves now to get himself comfortably up into that top 10. Of course, you do score points down to 19th, but of course, the higher you are, the more points you score. So Shanaka's going to look to try and get some positions early on this strategy. And then, of course, depending on how the pit stop works for him, he could also be looking to make even more moves once he gets out of the pit lane later on in this race. As now he's looking through overhead of Ryan Modler, and Ryan doesn't even fight that. He basically lets him through. So into 9th now goes Shanaka Clay, and this is also the point here now where I think the hard tyres are probably starting to become a little bit quicker than the mediums, because Joe Murphy, who was always struggling to keep within a second of Elliot Tomasetto, is now 7/10 back and comfortably in that DRS. So now I think we're also hitting a point where those on the hards are going to be quicker anyway.
That part of the hard tire coming into play as Benjamin, on a set of mediums with only 6 laps done on them, comes into the pits for an early stop, unless there's a bit of damage on their car, which it indeed isn't. So an early pit stop on lap 7 there.
Indeed, so maybe there's a chance that he is going for a 2-stop. I don't think it means that nobody will, but it just seems like the ideal strategy is that one-stop strategy. Here is Shanaka Clay again with a move into turn 4, goes ahead of Joel Marquardt, and now jumps into 8th place, and he now sits himself behind his teammate and behind Gabor Chontos, who are all 3 on the hard tyres. So obviously this is also why Shanaka wants to catch up to Gabor and Joe, because once Joel and Ryan go into the pit lane, if he's stuck behind them, then he hasn't got that DRS to Gabor, whereas now he's going to have that DRS. So once everybody on the mediums goes in and he stays out, at least he's got that aid of being within a second of Gabor and Joe, as we do see Fabrizio Donoso making a move ahead of Tony Hietala. And of course, he'll be looking to make some very quick moves now over these next few laps. There's, of course, that undercut there for Alex Santana. Oh, no, never mind. It doesn't matter. He had damage. I was going to say that undercut hasn't worked, but, of course, he had to serve an extra, 6 seconds because of his damage on his car. As here goes Donoso again. I think looking to open move on Dimas down towards turn 1.
Could be an opportunity being on the hard compound tyre, as you've already seen the medium tyre runners lose a bit of positions as Fabrizio Donoso is going to be going for it on the inside line. He would rather get the move done. You know, two FWR teammates it looked like they're fighting each other out there, as Gabriel Quintino is going to be in P13 on a set of hard tyres. Will he be in a bit of trouble from the cars behind? And he might just be in a bit of trouble from Luca Rapazza around the outside. Will he get the job done? He hangs it in there, but he nearly has to back out. He's again going to be there. So going to be side by side. They nearly make bank wheels once more, but just again. And now from behind will come to door, but he's just going to have to stay there. But Luca Rapazza does get the move done, but still looking at the 2 Archer Academy cars, Luca Rapazza and Tudor in P14 and 16. Considering they did start at the back, P14 and 16 not bad at all, as Tudor is going to be trying to get a move done once more. One teammate got past him, the other will get past him as well, as now he will get up to P15. The 2 teammates in 14 and 15 now, and a move done around there gets it nice and easy. You'll have to worry about it though, because now with the DRS getting to the other car could be an opportunity for them to get past, but for the moment he did get the overtake, and right behind his teammate is Luca Tudor.
Indeed, as we head back down towards turn 1, actually we've got Quintino here making a move ahead of Alexander Dimas up into 12th, as Tristan Janssen goes ahead of Tony Hietala as well. You can see there that FDR car on the medium really struggling now in this race to stay with those in that top 10, especially those on the mediums. They've fallen away just because those on the hards can just carve their way through so quickly. Same is happening here to Alexander Dimas, who was up near the top 10. He's now down to 14th, and probably give it another lap, he'll be down to 16th, joining Tony Hietala and Jeremy Galonier as we make our way through the end of Sector 1 into Sector 2. Further ahead, Joe Murphy is all over the back of Ellie Tomasetto, so now it could be the turn of the hard compound tyres to make moves ahead of those in the top 5 on the mediums. Oh, Joe there was looking for a move. It was very close to, not working. He has to go and commit to the outside line. Ellie Tomasetto nearly hitting him into the barriers, nearly. Very close to well, there was contact, but very close to quite harsh contact. But either way, Joe Murphy does go through, and that would have been a scary moment for the SCR driver.
That was brilliant, rather brave from him there, going to attack a move like that on a place like that, especially with the barriers are not far away, as Geport Chontos could have a chance to get past Thomas here as well. But you get past him, though, that's going to be interesting to see. Heading towards turn one, is there going to be an opportunity? Does he send a lunge down the inside lane? Yes, he does. He gets a whole car length ahead by the time they exit out of the corner. So a move has been done for them, as Gabriel Quintino might be in a bit of pressure from Ryan Mudler, who will have that DRS and rather close. But looking at the back, there's going to be another chance for drivers at the back, and Shanaka Clay gets another move done, and he will make another position. He's really moving fantastically since the start of the race.
Like a knife through hot butter there for Shanaka Clay. Very quick at the moment here in this race. Of course, a poor qualifying down in 12th, not where he wanted to be. They're up to 7th and looking to try and push his way forward. Of course, round 3, last round, he finished 2nd. So, certainly, doesn't want to be finishing down in 7th here by the end of this one. So he's gone for that strategy, which is a little bit alternate compared to those on the medium hard. See what he can do at the end and maybe try and make that work. But I think if you give that strategy to anybody, Shanaka Clay is one that you give it to, because he's a very quick driver. He knows the game. He knows how drivers like to drive and how they battle. So he kind of hasn't got to worry, whereas if you put it to a driver who's a little bit further down the pecking order, you said to them, right, you've got to move forward on the hards. They probably aren't going to do that well. As here we see Joe Murphy looking for a move to get ahead of Istvan Pukki, but backs out of it. Same there for Gabor Chontos on the back of Jan Halliday. He also backs out of that opportunity. And I think this really does prove, doesn't it, now, that those hard tyres are the quicker tyre here, as Gabor Chontos has a big chance down towards turn 4.
Going to be another chance for Gabor Chontos, and he does get that chance.
Dear me.
They touch Mills there. They nearly would have collided. It could have been almost a race-ending incident there, as Istvan Pukki is now going to be, rather that is Joe Murphy, sorry, is trying to get past Istvan Pukki there, and he does get past him, and an overtake on the Williams is done, but that was really close and definitely far more closer than comfort, more than comfort.
Indeed, I mean, that was a send and a half there from, I think it was Gabor Chontos, wasn't it? Very big send, and nearly taking Jan Halliday and himself into the grass at turn 4. As Fabrizio Donoso makes a move ahead of Joel Marquardt. He's now looking to catch back up onto the back of Gabor Chontos, so he can also get some DRS when those on the mediums start to head into the pit lane. As here's Joe Murphy looking for a move to go into P2 on the back of Joris Krozen. Of course, Nelson Alves still in the lead, as we see Elliot Umaseta going early off of the medium tyres. And Joris Krozen might look for a move for the lead himself to the outside of Alves. Joe Murphy to the outside of Alves as well. It went for a move on Krozen to a move on Alves here for Joe Murphy. Through turns 2 and 3 they go. Side by side, a little bit of contact between the two. But Joe Murphy gets that move complete and moves up into 2nd.
Absolutely brilliant. He gets the job done. So definitely, I mean, we're talking about a one-stop here, but considering how the medium tyres have, once it dropped off, they're obviously still competitive, still, the drivers are going at it, but definitely those on the hards behind rather look better now. So definitely it looks like the medium tyre has started to drop off. So at this point, those on the set of medium tyres, do they think that they're still good for a one-stop and they can go a little bit longer, or they're like, okay, the tyres are gone now, so we need to pit right now, and then opt for a two-stop strategy?
I mean, I think lots of Benjamin, I think he's on a 2-stop, and Alex, just because of how early they pitted. I mean, Vroom are nowhere in this race, so they lose nothing by it, as Tristan Janssen goes ahead of Joel Marquardt. Vroom are nowhere, so they don't lose anything by it. They're not going to do anything on a 1 or 2-stop strategy, whereas Alex Santana had damage, so he had to pit. He was forced into a 2-stop, so I think that's the thing. Those two were compromised anyway, so they thought, why not go for it, whereas the others have to kind of stick with the status quo and do what everybody else is doing, just so they have a chance of kind of staying there. As here goes Shanaka Clay up into 3rd, making a move ahead of Istvan Pukki. There's Nelson Alves from the lead, from 2nd, in this race, goes into the pit lane along with Jeremy Garnier as well, who's now dropping down to 20th. And I've got to feel for Jeremy, because he was kind of there with, I think it was Tudor at the start, and then he kind of just got stuck there. He couldn't move forward just because he wasn't on the same tyre, so he's kind of stuck in, I think he was 16th there, so it's not been too ideal for Jeremy, especially since I know he's got the pace to be up in the top 10. Very quick driver back in his day. I don't think he plays the game as often anymore either.
Yeah, I mean, that could affect, sometimes if you're not putting those hours of the time that you need to put in to be as fast, you might not be. Obviously, you could be fast all those years ago, but definitely everything changes. The game obviously slightly changes here and around, you know, in terms of how the cars, and obviously it's still Formula One, still going to be similar, but slight bit of adjustment that you need to adjust. So it might not be a year that you know, some drivers don't adjust to different cars or different years of models, which could be a thing. As Fabrizio Donoso might be with having a chance to get past Jan Halliday there, and he doesn't get past Jan Halliday, and Shanaka Clay will get past Joris there, and he will get into P2 as Joe Murphy and Shanaka Clay have a SCI 1-2 here. Obviously they will need to pit, but the two teammates are all 1 and 2, 1.3 seconds separating the two there.
Indeed, as we did also see as well, Istvan Pukki and Ryan Modler heading to the pit lane and yet again proving how much that undercut works here, because Nelson Alves, we're going to go and have a look at him here, stuck behind the back of Benjamin Letanier. Goes ahead of Benjamin, but now has to get ahead of Tony Hirtala, of course, who went in very early in the pit lane, was 15th, I believe, before he pitted, and now sits in the net P2 of the race. Of course, like Santana's the net leader, but his tyres I don't think will go to the end. If they do, well done, but I don't think they will. It's now here goes Nelson on Tony. I don't think Tony's going to defend that. No, he's not. There's no point in defending it because he knows that Nelson is quicker anyway. So up into net P2 goes Nelson Alves, then to net P3 goes Tony Hirtala, and then it should be an easy move here for Nelson to go ahead of Alex.
Yeah, it should be a chance for him to get past as soon as that rear wing's open, as soon as we're on that main straight and the DRS is open. Definitely that rear wing and that extra speed along with that slipstream will help him get past as he takes a lot wider line than Alex.
Yeah, Alex is going slow on purpose there because his teammate's coming through the pit lane. He's taking hardly any speed through the Peraltada because he wants to help Joel Marquardt when he comes out of the pit lane. So team tactics here by TF10 as Nelson Alves now has the opportunity to go ahead. And of course that allows Tony Hirtala to do the exact same. But there we go. Has it worked? No, it's not, because Joel's then in 19th. So I don't know what that was for. He was never anywhere near him. I thought he was going to come out neck and neck, but no. Joel's another 5 seconds back.
Yeah, it's nice to see a bit of tactics being on there, and definitely the games are being played by all of them as Joris is now ahead of Istvan Pukki. Obviously, these guys have just came out of the pit lane. Istvan Pukki goes for it, and he's almost going to make him spun round, and he just saves and comes out of it. But that could have been rather bigger than what it was, but it almost could have been a race-ending incident.
Well, turn 4 has not been the best for Istvan Pukki this evening. Has nearly taken himself and Joris Krozen out at turn 4 and went too deep at turn 4 on the first lap. So Pukki will be quite happy he's got that move done, and he doesn't have to make a send at turn 4 anytime soon, as we do see Jan Halliday very late off the mediums, goes into the pit lane onto a set of the hards. But of course that is a crucial move for the race, because these two are probably going to be the ones that are fighting up for the top 3 at the end here, Pukki and Krozen. Of course, Alves has really flew away now with this race in terms of those on that same strategy, but it's going to be very interesting once those in the top, I'd say the top 3, Joe, Shanaka and Gabor, are probably going to be the biggest hitters in trying to move forward and, you know, go ahead of that medium-hard strategies. Here goes Joris Krozen on the back of Alex Santana and gets that move done rather easily. And now does Joris look to try and return the favour and go for a move on Pukki? No, he's a little bit too far back.
Yeah, he's far back. I think Istvan Pukki in the previous lap, he never looked like there was going to be close, but rather he just sent it out there, and almost, I think he would be rather happy that it didn't end it worse than how it ended, and definitely came out of it better at least than what could have went wrong, as Ryan Modler could be having a chance on Jeremy. They're going to be side by side, and he's going to go wide. They will make contact there.
I mean, if I was Ron, I would have backed out. I mean, why would you go for the move around the outside at turn 7? That's just makes no sense, especially on a car that's slower than you. You just back out and go for it again instead of risking getting track limit violations and ruining your race, because that can easily end in a 3 seconds later on, as there goes Jan Halliday, making a move ahead of Benjamin Letanier and goes up into 17th place. Looking further ahead, so we got Nelson Alves the net leader, Tony Hirtala net second, and Tomasetto Elia, or Eli Tomasetto, I don't know why it's backwards, he's net third. So be interesting now to see what Pukki and Krozen can do in here and trying to push forward. And I think getting ahead of Ellie is going to be a little bit tricky, but Tony should be quite an easy move just because he's on 4-lap older tyres. Ellie's going to be easier, and then of course with Nelson being at the front, they're not going to fight with him until the end because there's no point fighting with him until the end of the race because you'd rather have that DRS on the last lap. But of course, all that might never come to fruition if those on the hard tyres push their way through and overtake you, because we've seen it before where they either don't work and you get stuck in like P5, or you could see Joe Murphy go into the pits, somehow works a miracle and flies up to P1 with like 3 or 4 laps to go and has a comfortable lead. You never know what's going to happen when you go for that risky strategy, which is why I think SEO have kind of thrown all the risk in, because they're like, right, rather than just going for one drive on the risky strategy, send 2 on it and hope it works double.
Exactly, and I think, there's going to be a move up at the back, and that's going to be Ian Halliday getting past Jeremy. So as you talk about those strategies, I remember, as far as I remember correctly, back from round 1, as Fabrizio Donoso is going to get past Luca Rapazza there, as that's going to be interesting. That was in fact Gabriel Cointino working around with these guys out there, as Fabrizio Donoso will get that move done, but will Luca Rapazza get an opportunity into turn 4? The DRS will be open on him. Is he close enough to be making that move? Seen a couple of drivers go for a late lunge, but no, he was not close enough and rather backs out of it there. But again, there's going to be chances and overtakes into turn 1, and Alex Santana stuck behind between the 2 cars. He was slightly closer to the WNT car in front. I wonder if his front wing is safe. It indeed is, but it might have just been a bit too close for comfort, as round the outside comes Jeremy. He's going to try and get the move done. Will he be getting that done, though? He's going to be on the inside line into the next corner, and he will get the move done. He pushes him absolutely wide, and Joel will get past him now, as Alexander now will join the party as well, as there has to be. Alex Santano's at the back out, or in fact, no, they're going side by side. Another 2 drivers we see go side by side around there will make contact, but once more they're going to be wheel to wheel. Nobody's wishing
Oh, dear me.
He's almost going to toward the wall. Does he keep out of it? Yes, he does. But nearly that was ending, and not sure how he's kept out of the wall. That was some crazy stuff there.
Dear me, I mean, that's a battle of ego, and F you, move out the way, and also let's have a bit of fun because we're at the back of the grid. As Tony Hietala here, I don't know if he's trying to go slow on purpose, but he's not letting Tomasetto Elia through at all. But I don't think he's got much of a choice here as we head down towards turn 1, unless he's going to go for a big send into the first corner. It's nearly 4 wide as here goes Joris Krozen up the inside of Elia Tomasetto. Sorry, not Elliot Tomasetto, ahead of Tony Hietala, and then further ahead, it's Elliot Tomasetto. He's looking to make a move ahead of Istvan Pukki into turn 4. Let's see if Elliot can do what Istvan can't. No, he stays back for now, and comfortable there. But look at the gap they've got to Nelson Alves. 4.2 seconds. I mean, Nelson might as well be lifting the trophy in the car already, because that is a gap that they're not going to bring down just because Nelson's only got 1 lap older tyre. It's not like it's a 5-lap offset here. So, realistically, if what I presume that Williams are playing for the team game rather than Drivers' Championship, if Joe Murphy, Shanika Klein, etc. come out behind Pukki just needs to hold them up. That's all he needs to do. I mean, if it needs to be a little bit dirty and aggressive, go for it. I don't care. Why not? You've got to help your team. So Istvan here's got a very big opportunity to do a worldie of a move. Oh no! 2 times in 2 nights, Tony Hietala has made a mistake or been taken out at turn 12. Dear me. That is not his corner, I don't think.
Yeah, that is interesting to see a mistake from him, and obviously losing out those positions. So yeah, talking about the Williams team game, I think it could be on already, as the gap, as you said, 4 seconds. It's come down by 2/10, but still, Istvan Pukki at this point could hold up all those behind and definitely help Nelson pull away. So it would just make it easy for Nelson Alves at the top, and I think definitely those thinkings would be going on in their minds on what they need to do at this point. Sure, those behind him are not far away, so he'll need to give it absolutely everything to defend from those behind. But if you can, why not? I mean, as you said, go for it. So let's see. But it'll also be interesting to see all those behind. When do they try it? They'll at the moment, I think they'll just be staying in the DRS and what they want to do. But it'll also come down to the point when they want to try which point of the Grand Prix they think it is time for them to go for it.
Indeed, and I'm looking in the chat, and there's lots of talk about the tyres. There's, I think, at least 3 very experienced engineers in there. We've got Carson, Yona, and Chris, and you've got Grund making a chat. I've seen Grunt's name somewhere. I presume he must be an engineer because I've seen him somewhere before. I don't know where, but I have. As we want to see the gap to leader. There we go, gap to leader for a bit. We've got Antics as well. Now he's part of the test engineering team. So everybody in there all having a chat about what's going on in terms of strategy-wise. But just put one message in, everybody. What is the strategy to go for here? Medium, hard, or hard, medium? Just put whatever. Don't start waffling about all the technicality. Just say what you think is a better strategy. That's what I'm interested in. And Zabby as well. We've got hard, medium, hard, medium, hard, medium. There we go. Has that told us, Zabby, what strategy is a better one, I think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's, you know, everybody telling us, as you said, no technicality. So at least I think a short answer, we might have got it.
Indeed.
Right, then lap 21 out of 36 as the hard tire runners are still at it. So it'll be interesting to see when those drivers on those hard tires, over 21 laps coming over the line, have been done on those tires. When do they think it's time to pit? When are they thinking that it's going to be enough for them to pit now, and then those soft to take those tires to the end, those mediums, which they would obviously get brand new.
Sorry there to cut you off, Zabby, but what's happened there to Elliot Tomasetto? He's lost the DRS to Istvan Pukki. Now that is crucial for his race, because realistically he shouldn't be dropping outside of a second. I mean, maybe just because Istvan's like a lot better. I'm not saying Elliot's bad, but Istvan is very, very good. But I still wouldn't have expected him to drop outside of the DRS, the Pukki.
Exactly. I mean, not only him, but he's dropped out, but then those behind him haven't been able to get past him. So if it was a mistake or a opportunity for others to get past him, and if he lost out time, you know, we might have seen him lose out a bit of positions as well. So he's still where he was, but just a bit down on Istvan Pukki. So maybe Istvan Pukki just pushed up a little bit to pull away.
Yeah, it could be. I think that's what they were trying to do now. Pukki knows he's not got a theory of DRS behind. Just push hard and keep that gap as high as possible, because they know that when SCI pit, they are going to be charging. They're not just going to be driving, they will be charging forward, flying as well, if you can use that word as well. They will be going at some speed. As Gabor Chantos is into the pit lane, he's the first of those on the hard-medium strategy to come in, so we'll have to see what he can do on those first initial laps. But Istvan and Nelson have got to get a move on just because of the speed that Joan and Shanaka will have on those first couple of laps. And like, we'll use what the chat said as well. What Jonas says is they'll have a very big grip advantage on those first few laps. So just say they come out behind Istvan and Elliot Tomasetto, it should just be an easy move around the outside, boom, done, realistically, because they're going to have that much grip, that much of a grip advantage. There's nothing that the others are going to do apart from do a Max Verstappen and send them off the track at turn 7.
Exactly, and I mean, they'll have to, you know, get everything, and
Oh,
they'll
what's
need to
happened?
make sure that.
Joris has made a move. Tomasetto's hit the back of him down to turn 4. Jan Harde's going for a move. DME, everybody's going for moves here into turn 4. Jan Harde goes ahead, but Joris has got Ryan Modler for company on the outside as well.
Absolutely brilliant moves happening here. Not quite sure what's going on, but things are there as Ryan Model is going to be side by side once more. We saw him go wheel to wheel earlier around here. He'll do it again and push the car a little bit wide, but this time around they stay within the track, and both of them stay within the white lines as Tomasetto will get past Ryan Modler there.
Indeed, and I think at this moment, this is where Gabor Chantos is saying, please battle more, because I'm going to be able to get some very early chances of making moves on these medium tyres. So battling everywhere we look here at the moment, as the top 7 are yet to pit here. They need to pit onto a medium. They're all on a hard currently, as the two Veloci Academy swap around. Remember, they started 19th and 20th, so keep an eye on what the Veloci Academy cars can do. There's Joe Marquardt looking to make a move. Gabor Chantos already ahead of Alexander Dimas. He was 8 tenths back heading into the final sector. He's flying on those medium tyres as expected, as now he's going to try and carve his way past Joe Marquardt, which yet again will see the grip advantage out of turn 3, and he's just flying already. On the back of him should be an easy move into turn 4.
So try and get that done as easy as it gets. Will he be going for it? No, not this time round. Rather, Joel Marquardt might be going for it on the car in front of Jeremy, but this time round, Gabor will get the chance, and he will get passed around. It was almost like an old switcheroo there from outside to the inside into P15. So moved on already, and he'll try and get past these guys, a bunch of cars, as soon as he can to give himself a chance of those at the top.
Indeed, and now Gabor has got to get past Jeremy Galonier. Should be an easy move for him as well. Raimondler there too, just trying to block Gabor from making a move here in towards turn 12. As into P14 goes Jeremy, pardon me. As then we have Gabriel, Luca and Fabrizio all into the pit lane. So they're now going for their medium tyres to the end. This race could certainly get very, very interesting, as here is Gabor Chontos again, looking to make a move ahead of the VNT of Raimondler. Nothing that the Dutchman can do to keep the Hungarian behind as we make our way back down towards turn 1. And Gabriel Quintino, where does he come out? He comes out behind Dimas. So, and what was it? A lap for Gabor to get past those 4? 1 lap, and Gabriel could be in the same position that Gabor's now in.
Yeah, it could have been the way it is at the moment. Gabor is going to try and get past a couple of other cars already, as he's going to get past his teammate who's on a set of hards and into P9, and now Tomasetta on a set of those 13-lap-old hards will be in all that pressure from Gabor Chontos as well.
Yep, he's trying to keep Gabor behind here. Look at the speed that, well, the speed he's barely carrying through, as Gabor does go ahead and goes up into 8th place, and now he'll be charging after Jan Halliday. Because the top 3 currently, it's Nelson, Istvan, Jan. That is a top 3 indeed. And if you're in a medium trying to work your way through, I don't think you'd be ideally saying you want those 3 to be catching up to, because they are 3 very experienced, quick, and their racecraft is very good, so they are going to fight you for it if they can. So we'll now see Joe Murphy and Tudor Pressacan head into the pit lane. Medium tyres strapped onto their Formula 1 cars. And the top 2 are still staying out, and that's Shanika Clay and Tristan Janssen. Tristan also started at the back. He was 18th, I believe, ahead of the 2 Veloce Academies. So he, as well, could still be on for a decent top 10 finish, depending on where he comes out to the pit lane. As Joe Murphy comes out just behind the back of Elliot Tomasetto, and then ahead of him is Gabor Chontos. This is a very big opportunity for Joe to get ahead of Elliot, and depending on if he can catch up to Gabor before Gabor catches up to Jan, it should even be an easy move for him to get ahead of Gabor, just because of the tyre offset.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think now all those on new tyres and different tyres, the tyre offset being there, I think it'll be there. You know, we could see the hard tyre going to the medium tyre, but the medium with that tyre offset could be a thing. You know, sure, those still in the hard tyres, those who have just pitted, the Joe Murphy, and those are still out. So they have stayed out a little bit longer, but you know, just bidding about now, they've still got about 10 laps, which should be enough for the amount of tire grip they would have for them to be making moves. As Gabriel Quintino will try and get past Joris there, pushes him a little bit wide. In fact, pushes him very wide there out of the circuit. He just comes back ahead of Luca Rapazza in P10. Gives it away, but he's on over 11, 12 lap old at the end of this lap. It would get all hard tires, so at the back would be interesting to see whether Joe Murphy at the moment, in fact, will be trying to get past Gabor Chontos, and they will be side by side. The rear wing's going to be open on that SCI. Will be get past Gabor, and the move is going to be done.
Oh dear me, this is 3 wide in towards turn 1, dear me. 3 wide, we've got Shanika Clay, Luca Rapazza, Joris Krozen all going through. Somebody's gone round. Raimondler's out of the session. He's DNF. Joris Krozen's around at turn 1, and that's a safety car. A safety car which is probably going to help Williams here. Dear me. This would have been, well, I mean, what a race it could have been for Joe Murphy. I presume he'll still take the lead because of the others having to pit. But, oh my. I mean, that is something. I don't know what happened. Obviously, Zabby, I'm not going to ask you if you know what happened because you were seeing my screen. But 1 minute, I see yellow flag. Joris has dropped down the grid. And we've got Raimondler out at the race, and Joris spun on the grass.
Exactly. I mean, especially that part of the circuit, we saw them go side by side a couple of times, so maybe this time it was just not the luck that they had from the last couple of times, and they just collided in the end. Nobody obviously letting the other get past or back out of a battle that was going on, and definitely we and the T out there, and they had to collide in the end and get out of it. But definitely a safety car this late makes it even more interesting now.
It certainly does. I mean, who's going to pit here? Top 2 pit, 3rd pit. Murphy stays out. Gabor stays out. Gabriel stays out. Luca, Shanika. So, most of those that pitted onto medium stay out on them. Those who was on the hards have gone back to hards. Oh, they must not have enough mediums. I don't know how it works, but I thought surely you go on mediums, wouldn't you? Not hards. I don't know. I really don't know. My knowledge of tyres is so poor. I presume that just means that Nelson and Istvan and all the others just haven't got another medium. Because surely you would want to do that, wouldn't you? I'd imagine. Ah, so you can either choose 2 mediums and a hard or 2 hards and a medium. Oh, okay, it makes sense. There we go. I thought I was stupid. I guess I am, but, you know, besides the point, I didn't know. As Tony's gone onto softs. Oh, dear me.
Interesting.
That calls for one word. It begins with T and ends in M, but I don't think I can say that on Twitch.
Yeah, but I mean, interesting to see that. Sure, a couple of laps will be behind the safety car, but the soft tire already, you know, it's not one of the best, especially on this year's game. It's decent, but still, it's if you're gonna go racing and side by side, especially for a couple of laps, it might be over that grip on that tire within a few laps.
Indeed, as the safety car out, the beautiful Mercedes with Bert Mylander at the wheel. He leads ahead of Joe Murphy, Gabor Chantos and Gabriel Quintino. I mean, what a strategy for FVR there. Up to third now with Gabriel. And I feel this could be a very, very spicy final 7 laps, because I presume the safety car will come in after lap 29. So then we'll have 7 laps of racing. Everybody's on newish tyres, and they've all got to fight for the lead. This could get interesting. Very. But also, I'm actually keen to see what the likes of Nelson and Jan and Istvan can do on those hards, because if they can get them kicked into gear in the first few laps, they could have a chance at the end of the race to snipe a few players. Snipe a few players. We're not playing COD. Snipe a few drivers.
Yeah, interesting to see. I think it could go anyone's way at the moment as Shineka Clay comes in a few laps later, also going on to a set of hards and a set of softs, and Tony comes in for another set of a different tire, I presume, or maybe another set of softs, which will be interesting to know, and indeed another set of softs, so it'll be interesting to see why he would come in again. But yeah, so I think everybody will be going for a victory here. Everybody would think that they've got the opportunity, and definitely, as you said, newer tires and will make everyone feel they're going to be having the grip of their life, and they will definitely go for it. So I think anybody in the top 10 might just try and go for it.
Certainly. But guys, in the chat, you've not shut up since about lap 10, talking about strategies and going on about different things. So this is a perfect opportunity to tell me who you think is going to win the race, because that is the question that everybody wants the answer to. Joe Murphy currently leads. He's on the best tyres of all those in the top 4. He's got a lot of pace, but has he got what it takes to hold off the pressure from Gabriel and Luca behind? Potentially Shaneka as well. You know, Shaneka's got some good pace. He could try and get some early moves on those newer tyres and move forward. You've got Gabor and Gabriel, who currently sit in the top 3. Luca Rapassa, I'll be astonished if he can get a podium with that penalty. Same for Fabrizio Donoso. And then you've got Nelson, Jan and Istvan, who are going for that different strategy of pushing forward on a hard tyre. And I'm not going to be stupid enough to present the idea of the soft tyres doing something, because I don't think they will. I'd love them to, but they won't. Right, is it... are they trying to stall the safety car here so it just goes lap after lap without it ending?
Yeah, it's just not ending, and everybody's coming in as now Norris is going into a set of softs as well. So interesting to see that now everybody's looking to go in and get a soft tire, at least 4 of them now.
We've got CRL Rosberg, Keeden. I've not been around long enough to know who CRL Rosberg is. Oh, wait, no. No one in here is called CRL Rosberg. He's in the chat. Oh, dear me. Shows my knowledge of the game. Rosberg, mate, I don't know who you are, but you must be a legend because you've got CRL in your name. And wasn't that one of the big teams from back in the day, before I even existed? I think so. I don't know. I'm not going to ask you, Zab, because, I mean, you've only been here, what, a couple of years now in the scene? I don't think you'd know the teams from back in 2019. Oh, dear me. Yeah. This could be an interesting ending here, because, I mean, I don't think those on the softs are going to do anything, but maybe they'll cause a bit of carnage, I don't know. Why not?
Maybe. I mean, they can surely move a couple of positions, especially those on the set of hards, and also not to forget that the hard tire is absolutely doesn't warm up, and it takes a couple of laps to warm up. You're gonna get that temperature in. So if those all those on those hard tires haven't got the temperature, definitely the soft tires, which obviously warm up a little earlier, a little easier, would have the opportunity to have.
That's a name. There's through the final corner to begin. Lap 31 of 36. Goes Joe Murphy on those newish medium tyres. Behind him is Gabor Chontos and Gabriel Quintino. And Quintino's had a perfect start on the restart here. He's going to look for a move early to get ahead of Gabor Chontos into turn 1. But Gabor's also got enough pace to go for a move for the lead. No, he backs out. To the outside goes Quintino. He goes deep. Luca Rapassano can catch up and try and capitalise off this down to turn 4.
This is an interesting race start. Everybody's going for it as Luca Rapato will have another opportunity to try and get past Quintino. Will he get past him though? No, in fact, he's not close enough to be making that move. But at the back, Todor might just be closer to Fabrizio Donoso to get past him. It'll be interesting to see. Everybody at the moment still not close enough. Meanwhile, Joe Murphy over 9/10 to Gebot Chontos in P2. At the back of the field, it is interesting to see with Joel Murquard in P15 just behind Jeremy. He might get past Jeremy pretty soon, being on that set of soft compound tyre. And the first driver on the set of soft will be making that move. They nearly made contact again. That part of the track, we nearly seen drivers collide multiple times there, but nobody wants to back out at all. Meanwhile, at the back, there might be an opportunity for Joris to get past of Jeremy as well, but doesn't quite do it. In fact, will do it about now. Rather nice and easy from those at the from the move earlier. And Shanaka Kleiner will get an opportunity to get past Luca Rapassa into P4. He's rather closer to be making that move. Obviously, no DRS about right now for a lap as the safety car just came in. Will he be going for it onto turn 1 rather from right behind? For a moment, you would have thought he's going to go, but he backs out of it and doesn't rather think for a move there.
Indeed, as well, better tyres for Joe Murphy. He's really helped him. He's got a 1.9 second lead over Gabor Chontos. So this is a perfect scenario for the SCR driver to take a win here this evening. As we have Shanaka Clay on the outside of Luca Rapassa. These two coming to blows. RB versus Red Bull. SCI versus Veloce Academy. Shanaka Clay still side by side, still looking to make the move. Lucas squeezes him. Is he going to go for the move into the S's? Yes, he is. Lucas still going to try and hold it onto it as they go through. Shanaka Clay gets the move done, and into P4 goes Clay. He's now going to try and close in on the back of Gabriel Quintino, but he's got 2 lap fresher tyres than Quintino and 4 lap fresher tyres than Gabor Chontos. This is a massive opportunity for Shanaka Clay.
Could be where he's currently in P4 and now closer within those lead drivers. Obviously, Joe Murphy's got over 3 seconds lead. Meanwhile, Tristan is going to try and get past the tier test of Jan Halliday. Will he get past him though? In fact, they're going to be side by side rather. Jan Halliday will get past him there. Shanaka Clay will get another opportunity. Does he get closer or get ahead of Gabriel? They are heading towards turn 1. Will there be a chance for him as Gabriel is into P2? He's fighting those at the top and he's rather win for it as Shanaka Clay now gets past Gabor Chontos and into P3. Shanaka Clay makes it his way past him and into the top 3 now.
Indeed, and here goes Luca Rapassa now. Trying to get ahead of Gabor Chontos, gets the move complete in towards turn 4. Then comes Fabrizio Donoso and those older medium tyres, along with some pressure and some frustration. Not going good at all for Gabor Chontos and Ferrari G. Of course, Joris is down in 14th. I think he's got damage, otherwise those softs have just dropped off instantly because he's 1.3 seconds back from Alexander Dimas here. And now we could even see Nelson Alves and Jan Halliday look to get a couple of moves as this race shortly comes to a close. We're on lap 33. There'll be 2 to go after this as Fabrizio Donoso, I think, was thinking about to send on Gabor but can't as they make their way in towards the hairpin. Here goes Tudor Pressacan as well. Gabor's got a penalty. Tudor's lost some places. It's absolute pandemonium into the final corner. They all appear out of the final corner. Nelson Alves is up into P8. He's still fighting for P7 here with Pressacan. Back down to turn 1 we go, and Shanaka Clay's looking for a move.
Absolutely heading to it. Then another opportunity for Shanaka Clay to go into the lead, or rather, sorry, into second place. And he does get past Gabriel Contino. As at the back, there's so many cars out there going for a move. Double, 2 wide, 3 wide. Or at it as Nelson's going to push it. He's going to be pushed a little bit wide with Pitador, and he's going to lose a couple of positions as Nelson's going to be in P7. Does he keep his position there? And he just about does enough. Jan Halliday rather going to be side by side and going to be going wheel to wheel between the two. On the inside line will be Jan Halliday. They're again side by side. Will he get past him? Yes, he does get past him. Does Nelson. Wide goes to the door, and he will lose out of position there for a moment. You'd have thought, and is there contact between Nelson or the other Isman Pookie and Tudor there, as Isman Pookie is going to lose that place, and Tudor is going to get past him in P9.
I mean, there's moments like this where I can't compose myself and everything's just crazy, because here goes this Van Pookie for the send on Tudor Pressicant and gets the move complete. Oh, and Tudor back on track, still looking to retaliate here and get back ahead of this Van Pookie, who then gets the move complete. And there's moments where things just aren't serious. You can't believe what's happening as they all make it out to the final corner. Joris Krozen is back into 13th. He's now only a couple of tenths away from 12th. He was about 2 seconds back earlier on. As we look further ahead, Gabor Chontos under more pressure this time from Nelson Alves, who's looking to make a move on the hard tyres. Jan Harday is well closing in. Gabor Chontos, this restart has not gone well at all for him.
Not at all. I think he would have looked to move up the order, but he hasn't been able to do that. And unfortunately, on it says he's got a penalty as well, so that might just be pulling him down even more. A couple of more places out here, but definitely now looking at Nelson in P6 with Fabrizio Donoso in P5. Meanwhile, at the back, it is going to be Tomasetto in P12. Just in between is Joris on a set of soft compound tyres. Obviously, those 5 laps on those softs might just be heading them done. But now Joe Murphy, who had pulled over 3 seconds to the next car, as that gap now only remains 8-10. So it will be interesting to see if Shanaka Clay could do something about it going into the final lap and main straight for the final time, final opportunity and the final dance that he will have, along with Gabriel Quintino, who could have a chance for a overtake as well. It could be anything can happen out here.
Certainly 1 lap to go, and of course Joe Murphy, I presume that was done on purpose there, slow down, bring Shanaka Clay into DRS, and then of course just help Shanaka Clay not be overtaken by Gabriel Quintino, because of course that second place for Shanaka would have been under a bit of scrutiny heading down to turn 1 if he didn't have that dose of DRS to help him, as we make our way back down towards turn 4. And this is looking to be an SCI 1-2. I mean, considering earlier on Jona Martins was hitting on SCI for going for 2 drivers on the same strategy, blah 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 blah. I mean, the safety car might have been in between, got in between and ruined that. What was it? Potentiality of it not being a right strategy? I don't know. As he went off the track, has rejoined and held in everybody up. This is a little bit naughty. Don't think he should be doing that exactly, but there we go. We go back to the front anyway. As I was saying, in the end, the strategy worked out for SCI, and they currently sit 1-2 with a couple of corners to go in this race. And let's see these two cross the line and take that win. Of course, Quintino as well. He started near the back, got knocked out in Q2. Went for that odd strategy, and it's worked out for him as SCI now through the final corner they go. And it'll be Joe Murphy that takes the win ahead of Shanaka Clay. In second place, it's an SCI 1-2 around Mexico. And Gabriel Quintino reigns off the podium. And despite having to go for that pit stop, Nelson Alves somehow re-emerges in P4.
Which is interesting to see. At the back with both Williams drivers. We're almost looking at out of top 5 at one point after towards the end of the race. Still a P4. That's definitely ending up for him out there is a brilliant result there.
Indeed. What a race that was. I mean, what an ending. I think even if we didn't have the safety car, it would have been great to see the end just because of lots of Gabor. I think it was Gabor, Joe, Shanaka, Joris, who were all trying to make their way forward on those medium tyres. So I think either way, we would have had a spectacle of a race.
Definitely, I think we could have had a brilliant one even without the safety car, but that came in and that definitely made it even more interesting. And a lot happened towards the end for sure. I think just too many moves, everyone just going for it and really trying their luck out there.
Indeed, as we get to see the podium celebrations, and then we don't get to see the results. Brilliant. No results,
Interesting.
unfortunately, on our screen. I don't know if it's because I tabbed out at the wrong time. Oh, and well, very angry moment there from Tuna in the chat towards Gapahor. Not happy at all. Alexander Demas is not happy with Tomasetto Elliott. Dear me, there's some very angry drivers in the chat tonight, but I mean, I'm not surprised after what we just saw. Whatever it was, I don't know, but it was interesting. That is for sure. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get any interviews. Which is a shame. I always love to have a chat with the top three, but it's too late now. They've had their chance. We're going to look to wrap things up. There we go. Oh, why's my camera froze? Me looking down.
Interesting that is.
I'll get that off quick before someone screenshots that.
Yeah.
There we go. But Zavi, what do you think of that one? Round it up for us. Oh, no, never mind. We've got Gabrielle joining us for an interview. That's fine. Join quick, Gabrielle. There we are. We'll drag him in. And I can't drag him. Oh, no, sorry. F's sake.
Yep, can't.
I don't want to get sweared on stream, dear me. Oh. Everything's gone quite chaotic in the past, 10 minutes. I'm hoping that Nevio's going to drag Gabrielle in, because I don't have the permission to drag people.
Yep.
Oh, there we are. He's dragged in. Gabrielle, can you hear us?
No, Nathan, I cannot.
Well, do you know what? First of all, I hope that podium gets removed from you. I really do. You don't deserve it. And I really hope you get a penalty, because what you did at turn 1 was absolute penalty worthy. So I hope you get a penalty and you lose it again.
When?
Was it turn 4? I can't remember, but you did something I thought, oh, that's a pen.
I don't
You
know.
did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm sure it was at turn 1 or turn 4, because I saw your comment like, that's a pen, that is. We'll see if it gets
I
reported.
did nothing wrong in that race, Nathan. You just walked me to the public. I'm sorry.
Right, serious note, so I don't look like I'm bullying you for no reason. P3, qualifying, what happened there? Because that didn't quite go to plan, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a quality ban from PSGL, of course, yesterday, so I didn't do any quality prep, but yeah, I just did like an hour and a half or so. So let's say I was kind of expecting that, especially for the people that they already had some knowledge, on quality and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I did not expect Tony to be out with me. Unfortunately, he couldn't get a lap at the end in Q2. And yeah, I mean, I was like, let's just split the strat, see how it works. I mean, I did the hard medium that I've done yesterday, so why not try again? Because I mean, we have nothing. We have nothing to lose. We're just starting P13 or so. Yeah, and then it did quite work. I think it was very nice as well to have people around me doing, starting on the same tire. I think it was Shanek and Fab. And yeah, I was overtaking people, and of course the deck started to kick in, just save the tires a bit through the first bar, and then tried to push in the second one. And yeah, basically that was quite fine, I think. I overtook some cars there, and then I did not expect the safety car at all. And I mean, we just stayed out because basically the other tire that I had was just a hard, so it was like just 2 laps on the medium. I'm gonna just stayed out, and yeah, it paid off in the end. I mean, we got podium, which was quite unexpected, I would say, especially from where we started. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with that. Of course, couldn't be asked for more.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you went onto that initial hard medium, when you come out the pit lane, you made some moves before the safety car. I think you was up to P6 or something like that. Where were you expecting to be by the end? Did you think you could have got onto that podium either way? Because those mediums were just flying at some point, wasn't they? That was really quick.
No, I don't know, to be fair, because I mean, I could overtake some cars ahead, but I think the Williams were already too far off the road. And of course, I had Chanaka right behind me on 2-lap pressure, so I was like, nah, I'm just see what I can do. Honestly, not sure where I would finish, but definitely not on the podium, that's for sure.
Either way, it's still a good race. Still a P3. In terms of driver standings, you're 18th at the moment. Podium will jump you up to around P9. So at least you're back into the top 10 of the driver standings. Championship probably a little bit too far away, but at least you can still get a top 10 there. And team standings wise, it helps FVR in terms of trying to push for P4, get ahead of V8, and at least keep a gap to those teams behind. So either way, good result. Heading into next race, do you know if you'll be here or not? We head to China.
Definitely no, I hate China.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I'm sorry to all of my Chinese supporters, but we'll definitely not be there. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to race. I think I'm here. I hope so. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Indeed. Thanks, Gabriel, for joining. Pleasure as always. I still hope you get the podium removed, but we'll see.
Thank you, Nathan. And also send my regards to your mom as well. I love her. GG.
I will do. I'm sure she'll be very grateful of that.
Thank you.
Oh, have a good one, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, there we go, Zabby. Interview over. No Shanika Clay, unfortunately. We come to the end of a very, very interesting race. I mean, before we get interrupted again, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, honestly, just, as we were talking about how it was before this, would have been even before the safety car, and it was interesting, especially in terms of strategy. We saw drivers, all sort of tires. They were all going for some on the medium, some on the hards, and even at the end, a couple of drivers on the hard tires, soft tires. They obviously didn't make many moves, but still being there, at least they would have had somewhat sort of hope what they can do on that soft tire. But brilliant, I think, brilliant from everybody all around, and at the end, obviously, whoever does the best gets the win, and well done to everyone.
Indeed, and yeah, of course, a big congratulations to the top 3 in that race, and also big thanks to everybody in the chat as always. We had over 110 viewers earlier on. Brilliant to see in the chat, so many of you getting involved, and of course everybody chipping in with their talks on strategies and things. Thank you as always for being active in the chat, and of course, Abby, thanks to you as well for joining me in the commentary box, and hopefully Ben and Corey do get better soon, because they were meant to be here tonight, so hopefully they are up and ready for things next season. Of course, we have got a bit of a break. We'll throw the calendar on quickly while we have some time. When it loads, there we go. Not our standings, calendar. We're not back till the 9th of Jan, of course. If you didn't know, guys, it's Christmas next week, and then it's New Year. So we're having a bit of a break for that, because we don't work for free in New Year and Christmas. Then we're back for January. 4 rounds in 1 month. We head to China first of all on the 9th of Jan. Next week it's Silverstone, followed by Austria a week later, and then the finale. Brilliant circuit for that. COTA, Circuit of the Americas, to end everything off. And of course, Abby, what track are you most excited for out of those 4?
And a couple of them are good. China's honestly nice, especially that back straight DRS provides nice opportunities for overtakes. Austria's a nice one. I mean, it's a bit of a track that almost everyone gets penalties on, but also a track which has a couple of DRS zones to overtake. Silverstone's Day, I mean, all of them are nice. It's hard to pick one specific track that you'd say that either, I like, or I'd say that's better. I think all 4 of them rather, look pretty solid tracks to go racing at.
Certainly. Well, once again, big thanks to yourself, Zoe, for joining me. Big thanks to the chat, and of course to Racetech and EOR as always. We'll be back next time on the 9th of Jan for Rain Father the Championship, where we head off to the Shanghai International Circuit. So for now, guys, have a good one. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you next time. Good night.